ベアトリーチェのことをバカにされた時のマリアと来たらまるで別人。
マリア二重人格説なんてのもあったな。
二重人格。ああ、そいつは多分ぴったりな表現だろうな。あるいはそれがマリアにとっての理想の人格だったのかもしれない。
自分のなりたいもう一人の自分を生み出すの話か。
なんで私のモットーを知ってんだよ。
難しく考えるな。
Don't worry about it.
普
Anyway,
通になら
there's something Jessica once told Kanon. She'd been talking about how anyone can create another self in the image of the person they want to be. I think we heard those words somewhere near the beginning of the second game. Okay. Now that I think about it, some very interesting stuff's been mentioned since very early on. Yeah, It goes back to the whole, oh, well, if you would have reread it, you would have... Yeah, I'm sure.
誰だって自分が本当になりたい自分があるんだ。でもなれない。生活やしがらみの中に今の自分がいるからこそ今の自分を変えるなんてことできやしないんだ。
そうだな。自分を変えるとは環境も変えるということだ。それは容易なことじゃねえ。
だから私は今の自分はそのままに、本当になりたい自分をもう一人生み出すことを思いついた。
両家のお嬢様であることを強いられ、お前はなりたい自分を見出した。
だからって家で破天荒はできないさ。母さんに怒鳴られるのがオチだぜ。だからそうした。家にいるおとなしく親の言うことを聞く私に加え、
Yes, I
本当に
pressed
なり
this
たい私をもう一人
long ass pause.
生み出したん
No,
だ。
I pressed enter. That means keep talking, damn it.
家ではおとなしく親の言うことを聞き、表ではやりたいようにやる。正しい生き様だ。胸を張れ。
ありがとう。まあつまりなりたい自分ってのはその気になりゃ案外作り出せるもんなんだよな。マリアも同じなんだろうと思った。
興奮してまくし立てるマリアもそうだという。
あれこそがそう思うことがあるよ。
親族で一番の年少で可愛がられてはいるが、
何を知っても覚えてもそんなのは親族の誰かが知ってる。マリアに威張れることは何もない。私たちはマリアが何かを覚えるたび、ひょっとしたらそれが彼女を傷つけていたのかもしれない。
マリアは何かの権威になりたかったということか。
It's something that all young boys and girls think when they want to shake off their childhood. It's not a bad feeling when you learn something new and your parents praise you. But when you realize that your parents already knew that thing, sometimes feel like they're talking down to you. When a kid learns their one-digit times table, their parents will probably praise them. However, inconsiderate parents will sometimes ask mean questions, like, then what is 11 times 11? Or what is 16 times 16? Or something similar. If that happens, the kid will lose his feeling of accomplishment and will start to feel as though he could never surpass his parents.
だからマリアが誰も知らないオカルトに関心を持ち、その知識を深めていったのは容易に想像で、多分マリアにとっての理想のみんなに尊敬されるオカルトの権威の自分なんだ。
普段の生活でオカルトの話ばかりしていたら、お前がそうであるように普段はもう一人の自分を隠しているというわけだ。
私はこんな時のマリアをそうだと思ってる。いや、本当の自分が普段の自分を塗りつぶしてしまったと言うべきかな。私もそういうのをちょっと覚えが。真相の霊場に憧れて病弱な自分になれたらいいなと思って、咳する真似ばっかしてたら悪い癖になって。
咳込めば周りが優しくしてくれるからか。
いや嫌な話の流れになった時とか空気悪い時とかに流れを断ち切れるし。
なるほど。それもまたお前のなりたいもう一人。
この話は内緒で頼むぜ。
Then, just what is Maria's other self? An authority on the occult who can out-argue even adults? Or else, does it have to do with her relationship with witches? Either way, denying Beatrice in front of Maria is clearly taboo. In her search for something more than her everyday life, Maria found it in Beatrice and inside herself. In that case, is going to the Golden Land with Beatrice Maria's wish?
話が脱線したか。まあそんな感じでローザおばさんが戻ってくるまでよせばいいのに、私も売り言葉に買い言葉で返して。
ベアトリーチェなどいるわけないと。
そんなとこいるもんなら合わせてみろよ。マリアが大泣きしだした頃にはさすがに失言が過ぎたかと。
それで
親族会議自体は私が一方的にマリアにマリアはケロリとしてたよ。一人でどこかに行ってまたベアトリーチェと一緒に遊んでたうんぬんと、私を含め誰も頭ごなしに否定したりなんかしない。もうそういうものなんだと思って聞き流して無視してるってのが正解さ。
親族会議の話はそれで終わりなのか。
この話自体はね、私がしたいのはこれが終わって親族がみんな帰ってからの話さ。
What you got, Jess? What you got, what you got, what you got, what you got? Fill me in, let me know. Whenever the conference ended, I still felt a bit uncomfortable. If Maria had just stayed mad, we would have made up with each other, and I could have put it all behind me. But since Maria got over it, I felt like I was the only one unsatisfied.
おやお嬢様、どうなさいましたか？お暗い顔。
ああ、いや別に大した。親族のみんなは無事に帰ったかな。
時間通りならもう新島の空港に疲れているでしょう。お嬢様もお疲れ様でございました。
私は何もしてねえぜ。使用人のみんなも本当にお疲れ様。
昨日のマリア様との喧嘩をまだ気にし。
まあね、
子供の言うことで、お嬢様ももう高校生なのですから深く気にすることもないでしょう。
熊沢さんはマリアのあれ、子供の言うただのザリ。
ベアトリーチェ様のお話でございますか？
熊沢さんもベアトリーチェ様と来たもんだ。
Beatrice is the name of grandfather's mistress, the person he's still infatuated with. I realize that, as a servant, Kumasawa can't speak of her indiscreetly. Still, that's now become the name of this fictitious witch who lives in this mansion, and it's almost natural for people to call her Sama.
ベアトリーチェなんて私たちが森へ行かないよう大人がでっち上げた階段だぜ。それをいつの間にかマリアが面白がって本当にいるかのように振る舞い出しやがった。
そんなことを言ってはベアトリーチェ様はいるのですから。
だからさ、そういうのダメなんだよ生理的に。ジョージ兄さんの話じゃねえけどさ、サンタなんかいるわけねえとまで騒ぎはしねえぜ。だからってサンタが本当にいるわけじゃねえ。
それは間違いですよ、お嬢様。
間違い？
はい、万物八百同じようにこの島、このおや神様と同じくベアトリーチェ様も敬っていれば何も害はなしません。お嬢様の言うようにいないも同然でしょう。しかし敬いを忘れれば必ずやこれは何もベアトリーチェ様に限ったことではないのですよ。
バチが当たるなんて上等じゃねえか。会えるもんなら会ってみてえぜ。
お嬢様、そんなバチ当たりではいけませんよ。
お嬢様、
本日はお疲れ様でございました。
シャノンにゴーダさんさ、ベアトリーチェの話は知ってるよな。
まあそれが何か。
The two looked at each other. They looked like a pair who had just heard a clueless person suddenly utter a forbidden word.
ぶっちゃけ聞くぜ。いるの？そんなお化け。
いるかいないかと言われればそれはいないでしょうが、多分。
Probably.
私はきっといらっしゃると思います。
どうしているって？会ったことあるの？
直接会ったことがあるわけじゃありませんけど、 その
Shannon spoke in detail of how she'd sometimes feel a strange presence or see a silhouette while doing the midnight rounds. And each time she started, Jessica would immediately cut her off, saying she must have seen it wrong or been mistaken.
ゴーダさんだって会ったことあるわけじゃないだろ。
もちろんです。しかしまあ
He was being very evasive. Even a man as big as Goda was apparently unable to deny the existence of someone he'd never met. This really didn't sit well with Jessica. She was a resident of this mansion herself. They're acting as though someone else, someone she didn't know, was living here. Of course she didn't like it.
ちょっと待った。今の話をもう一度。
と言いますと
I love Goda's noises.
貴賓室の話ですか？
Goda and Shannon had been recounting several ghost stories about Beatrice. One of those drew a reaction from Jessica.
そうそう。今面白いぜ。
Goda and Shannon glanced at each other. After all, it hadn't been a cool story to either of them.
貴賓室には午前2時に入ってですか？
Ooh, I didn't realize there was a specific time as to when we shouldn't enter the VIP room.
午前2時にはベアトリーチェ様が近づいてはいけない。
What'd you see, Jess? You know Jessica went fucking looking then. They're like, oh yeah, you must enter that room at 2 in the morning. So Jessica's like, alright, I'm gonna enter that room at 2 in the morning. Or she's gonna like, survey the spot, right?
そうそう、それそれ。面白いぜ。どの話もベアトリーチェらしきものを見たの聞いたのって体験談ばっかだけど。
Yeah, this one's got a
その
specific
話は違
place
う
and
ぜ。
time, and it's like you
午
can
前
watch
2時
that.
に貴賓室に行け
You
ば
can observe.
ベアトリーチェ様にお会いできるってわけだ。
それは
お嬢様、ベアトリーチェ様を悪く言ったし、ましてや貴賓室はベア
いくらお嬢様でもそれはおよしになる。
貴賓室って今は鍵は？
鍵はキーボックスにあっ
多分源氏様がご自分の席にしまわれていると思います。
マスターキーでも開くんでしょ？貸してよ。
Give me your key.
そういうわけには。
お嬢様、好んで不吉な場所に近づくことはありません。
おいおい、人の家を勝手に不吉に。とにかく私は決めた。マスターキーが貸せないなら貴賓室の鍵は貸して。
お嬢様。
To Jessica, the expressions worn by the pair felt more like an ill omen than anything else did. In Jessica's eyes, the ill-omened thing wasn't the witcher or the VIP room. It was them, Ray and the others who believed in witches. In the end, Jessica forced them to agree, and she made them bring her the key to the VIP room.
ベアトリーチェが本当に貴賓室に現れるかどうか肝試し。
そんなとこだぜ。
Uh-huh, but of course she didn't show, right? Because normally, quote-unquote, she would have. But obviously once Shannon and Goda kind of put together, yeah, no, Jessica's definitely going to go to that spot at that time, they can tell Beatrice, hey, don't.
しかし私は年派もいかないマリアとの喧嘩を引きずってたに違いない。
Of course, the weather just had to be terrible on that particular night. To be honest, I slightly regretted sticking my nose into something so pointless. I'd already said so much, and even borrowed the key from them. Couldn't just go to Shannon the next day, have her ask me how it went, and answer, well, I gave up because it was too scary. Normally, I go to sleep long before 2 a.m. I don't. If Mom found me wandering the corridors at that time of night, she'd definitely yell at me. So I waited in my room, staring at the hands of my clock as it ticked closer to 2. Outside, the rain was incredible and the wind strong. The swaying, rustling trees were particularly eerie. I'd complained to Shannon and Goda about making up ghost stories about my house. I was starting to feel like those ghost stories might not be so impossible after all. The Ishiramiya mansion is huge. Honestly, I can't think of the entire mansion as my own house. As Mom says, the hallways of the Ishiramiya mansion should be treated like public roads. In other words, my own room is part of my home, but the hallways, the rooms I don't usually enter, are outside. So while part of me felt that this VIP room ghost story was ridiculous, another part of me was so creeped out that it kept frantically trying to convince itself that the first part of me was right. Only 10 minutes left till 2. If I want to be inside the VIP room at 2, I need to get there before then.
行くか。悪いが、私も意地だぜ。
Nothing's going to happen. I know that. It'll just be a stupid waste of time for a few minutes. I touched the doorknob to the door of my room. I was startled by how unpleasantly cold it was. As long as I stayed in this room, I could laugh off anything. After all, this was my room. But it wouldn't be like that in the hallway. That's outside my territory. And the doorknob, the barrier between the two, is ice cold. Idiot. What are you so scared of? Me? You aren't taking Shannon, Goda's, or maybe Kumasawa's gossip seriously, are you? I'll prove it. There's nothing strange in the VIP room. The corridor was only dimly lit. Before lights out time, the hallways were brighter. But to avoid wasting energy or something like that, we kept the lights to a minimum at night. So even though I was inside my own house, it was very clearly the middle of the night here. If Mom found out that I was wandering around at a time like this to do a test of courage in the VIP room, which I'm not even supposed to go in, I'd get in a lot of trouble. To make sure she didn't find out, I tried to hide my breathing and my footsteps, so the silence felt unbelievably loud. Even though it was so quiet, the eerie sound of the wind was noisy. The sound of twigs rustling. The sound of some pillar in this old mansion creaking. What's that sound like a beak? What's that sound like a beak tapping against glass? It was so quiet, all the little suspicious sounds made it seem noisy. Damn, I'm an idiot. Why couldn't I have brought a flashlight at least? A flashlight to use inside my own home? Tuh, that's even more idiotic. I mumbled this to myself, hoping it would drown out the sound of the wind just a little. Then, I saw it. The door to the VIP room. This was the VIP room, the room for important guests. However, as far as I knew, it had never been used before. None of the guests who came to this mansion were important enough to be given use of this room. Though I'd been clutching that key the whole time, it didn't feel warm at all. It still ruthlessly and icily tormented me. Or maybe that was a warning. If you go back to your comfortable room and hide in your bed, this night will pass like any other.
バカにすんじゃねえぜ、ここまで来て。今さら引き下がれるかってんだ。
Even though the key was freezing my hand, telling me to go back, it slipped into the keyhole quite easily. All that's left is to turn the knob. Open it, and I'll be inside the VIP room. It's not like I've never been in there before. Long ago, I explored and played hide and seek all the time. This room that I rarely entered seemed unusual and exciting. However, I got in trouble for going in and was told that this room was important, so one mustn't enter without reason. After that, they made a rule of locking up unused rooms, and I couldn't go in anymore. So it's probably been several years since I've gone into the VIP room. In fact, it might be more than 10 years since the last time. The inside of the room has probably changed from how I remember it. Come to think of it, even then I felt that there was something unsettling about it. Slowly, I pushed the door open. The door was light. Even after I let go of it, it kept opening by itself, as though beckoning me in. Beyond it was the darkness as thick and heavy as ink. Even the dim light that peeked in from the corridor seemed bright in contrast. I stuck my head in, feeling about for the light switch next to the doorway. This is a horribly awkward, uncomfortable way to do it. All I really had to do was step inside and search for the switch from there. Unwilling to take even a single step into the room, I timidly stuck just my arm to the darkness and felt along the wall.
あった。
Click. The switch, which was hardly ever used, felt stiff and lifeless. However, once the light turned on, the darkness vanished in an instant. And there, exactly as it had been, as though not a thing had changed in all these years, was the VIP room. The curtain and bed cover might have been slightly different, and maybe the chairs and the like had changed too. Still, if I had to put it into words, I'd call it the feel. The stiff, lifeless feel of this room hadn't changed. If I hang around here, someone might find me. I'd rather not have Mom find me here. I readied myself, and though I couldn't bring myself to enter this room when the lights were out, I finally entered. As soon as I closed the door, I felt an oppressive, suffocating sensation. Alright, I've shut myself up in the VIP room. Bring it, Beatrice.
今何分だ？
I looked around the room, but I couldn't see any clock. I'm not in the habit of wearing a watch around the house. Damn. I'm not sure what time it is. Still, I know there's only a few minutes left at most. Trying to suppress my desire to use going to get a clock as an excuse to run away from this place. Even so, just standing around like this was boring. When I looked around again, searching for something to sit on, I found something strange.
なんだよこれ。
Oh, not dolls. No, not dolls. Oh, not dolls. Not the creepy dolls. Come on, man. It had been placed on the side table next to the bed. If this room had been used often, I'd have thought this was just one of the owner's personal belongings. But no one lived in this room. So, this can't belong to the room's owner.
お供えかよ。気持ち悪いぜ。
It really did look like an offering. A small French doll was sitting on the side table. The doll's hair was gold. It was wearing a black dress. Just who managed to find this doll and where? There's no doubt that someone placed the doll here to symbolize Beatrice. Does that mean this doll is supposed to be the owner of this room or something? Looking like an offering to that owner, there sat a small plate with several cookies and wrapped chocolates. It was all set out neatly, and there was no dust piled up on the doll. In other words, both the doll and the offering were taken care of on a regular basis by the servants. Kept in good condition along with the rest of the room. Taken care of? No, it's more than that. Looked like an offering. No, like some sort of worship. A prayer saying, "Please don't curse us." So even though the doll was more than eerie enough by itself, viscerally, it was even more unnerving to imagine it had been kept safe and worshipped in a place like this.
バカバカしいぜ。たたらないでくださいって。柏手でも打つのかよ。
Jessica forced herself to look away from the bizarre doll. She couldn't bring herself to sit on a bed that wasn't hers. Then again, she didn't really feel like sitting down on a chair either. She lost any desire to sit on anything in this room.